Welcome to Thurston Community Media Studio A. I'm Deborah Vinsel, the CEO. TC Media operates with support from Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, and Thurston County to make community media sources available to individuals, organizations, schools, and government agencies so they can create non-commercial media content and share information through our 4 local cable channels and on a variety of online and streaming services. TC Media programming is now available at our website, tcmedia.org, and on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV, with apps available on Android and iPhones. Community is our middle name. A prime example of our community-centered services is our 3-decade collaboration with the League of Women Voters of Thurston County to help educate local voters. We are very proud of this partnership. Thank you all for being here and attending, and thank you to those of you watching at home. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Darlene Hine, President of the Thurston County League of Women Voters.
Thank you, Deborah. We are so pleased to be here tonight. It's been a long time since we've been doing in-person candidate forums, and so we're just thrilled to be in person and have you here and have our wonderful candidates. It is the League's mission to make sure that people are not only registered to vote, but are informed voters. We are a nonpartisan group that really looks at not different parties or who is with what, but what is it people need to know? How do we get that information out there? How do we make sure that people have the information they need to vote, to make sure their vote is counted, and to make sure they have the information they need in order to be an informed voter? So we do a lot of work around that, and one of the big things we do is our candidate forums. We've been doing them for many years now. Deb said we've been working with her for 3 decades, which is an amazing feat, and we're going to continue, because this fall we will again do general election forums, and hopefully we'll see some of these candidates at that time. And we are pleased to be here tonight and thrilled that you are here with us, both on TV and here. And we will have these also available on our website come probably, in the next week or so. All the candidate forums, the ones we did over the weekend, and these that we're doing tonight. Our moderator tonight is Nathaniel Jones, and he is the Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Thurston County. Nathaniel.
Thank you. Thanks, Darlene. And thank you to the viewers. Thank you for tuning in to this 2023 primary election candidate forum for Thurston County Commission District 5. This forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County in collaboration with Thurston Community Media. I am Nathaniel Jones from the League, and I will be moderating this forum. James Allen will be the timer for the forum. The candidates for Thurston County Commissioner District 5 are Terry S. Ballard, Emily Clouse, Sarah Morris, and Michael Stedman. Mr. Stedman is not with us this evening. He is away on a family vacation. The League stresses the importance of civility in our community forums. All of you candidates have received the ground rules for the forum, and you have agreed to abide by them. We've asked that the audience submit questions, which I will use in putting this forum forward. Also, members have been asked to submit questions, members of the public, by email to the League for this night's forum. Acceptable questions are directed to all 3 of the candidates and pertain to the office that they're seeking. In other words, the questions are not personally directed to any one candidate. I would remind everyone in our audience this evening to please mute your phones. We'll ask questions in reverse order, reverse alphabetical order by last name. And the questions will be alternated so that each candidate has a chance to start first. Candidates will also be able to give a 1-minute closing statement at the end of our question period. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. The timer, which you see in front of you, will turn yellow at 15 seconds when there are 15 seconds remaining, and then show a stop sign when your time is up. If you don't notice the sign, I will tell you when your time is up. So for the first question, I will begin with Sarah Morris. And Sarah, can you tell us, why are you the best candidate for this position?
I can. I think that the thing that I bring is balance. I think that it's really important that the Board of Commissioners stays balanced, that we don't lean too far one way or the other. And as a strong independent candidate, I feel like I can bring that balance to the board.
Thank you. Emily, the same question for you. Why are you the best candidate for this position?
Thank you. Well, I'm the best candidate for this position because I'm not a typical career politician. I'm your neighbor. I'm a military veteran, a community advocate, and I'm a believer in our collective potential. From my time as an intelligence analyst, where I absorbed the necessity of clear, data-driven decision-making, to my service as a state employee and union member with the SHS, I have tackled complex issues head-on to protect our most vulnerable residents. I've also run a family-owned business, which has given me the pulse on our local economy and allowed me to master the allocation of resources responsibly. As the founder of Care Olympia, I've successfully managed over $100,000 in grant funding to help our unhoused neighbors and drive change from within our community. I'm not here to appease corporate interests or to maintain the status quo. I'm here to bring innovative and compassionate solutions to our community's conversations and ensure that Thurston County is a thriving community where the economy works for everyone and our environment is sustained for generations to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Terry, can you tell us why you're the best candidate for this position?
Thank you, Nathaniel. Currently, I'm a combat veteran. I served over 35 years in the military. I currently step up to the plate and speak at the county commissioners for my concerns, and which is not for myself, but for the community. I show up and provide public testimony at meetings to convey my concerns and our concerns to those that are that I will be doing as your representative. I represent the people's interest, not just my own agenda. Please support me with your vote so I can serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. So our second question begins with Emily Clouse. Emily, a question from the audience. Thurston County recently adopted a resolution declaring racial inequality a public health crisis. What needs to be done differently to address racial inequality in Thurston County?
Thank you. This is a really important question, and I believe that by addressing racial equity and belonging work, we really need to take concrete action on what we know about the issues in our community. We need to create a culture where everything is looked at through a lens of equity and belonging, and we can do that by ensuring that subject matter experts in the field are embedded within every department and every office, just as if we have budget employees in every department and every office. We can't just start and finish with propositions or declarations that we state at one point in time. We really need to make sure that these policies are ingrained within every facet of every level of county politics. This is that we need to create authentic and robust tribal relationships, which I'm really looking forward to our ability to increase with 5 commissioners as opposed to 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry, same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
Thurston County recently adopted a resolution declaring racial inequality, or inequity, a public health crisis. What needs to be done differently to address racial inequity in Thurston County?
In the Army, I was a fully trained equal opportunity representative, and I combated racism and discrimination within. I brought it through the chain of command, and we made positive changes. Currently, homeless, drug addiction, and mental illness are our major issues currently, with some end in sight. We will improve social and other county services to combat these and give these unfortunates a hand up and not a handout. We will reduce regulatory roadblocks for small businesses such as home builders to encourage more affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Sarah, the same question for you. Would you like me to repeat it?
Sure.
Okay. Thurston County recently adopted a resolution declaring racial inequity a public health crisis. What needs to be done differently to address racial inequity in Thurston County?
Let's start out with a super hot button topic. You know, it's so funny walking into this. There were just a few topics that I just feel like are dividing us so much, and this is one of them. And you know, it was one of those things where I like the biggest thing on my heart right now is unifying and healing. And I am so open to hearing ideas from people who feel like that healing is not taking place. That is very important to me. I have a hard time legislating morale. And so the idea that we have a resolution, that's something that I need to sit with a bit longer, but definitely know that healing and equity and equality and all of those, I believe everybody has a voice at the table for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Our next question goes first to Terry. What will you do to reduce the burden on property owners to develop their property?
Well, affordable housing is a term used by local politicians. It's not affordable housing, it's the fees and the permits that hamper growth. We need an even table across the venue from all incorporated cities to include the unincorporated county, which I will reside over during the CPED permit process. I want people to come into Thurston County and get affordable housing, but they can't do so with all these roadblocks that they're having. The pocket gopher is one that shouldn't be there, but it's only there in unincorporated Thurston County. Why is that? Okay, why are not the incorporated cities having to deal with a pocket gopher issue? This is something that somebody took money for, and we can't get rid of it, but we really do need to get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, same question.
So this one is one that is very near and dear to my heart. As a realtor for 20 years, I have watched what regulation and land use has done to my client's property. When it comes to making the permitting process, I mean, I have walked through it with clients and I have seen the roadblocks. In the middle of the worst housing crisis that we have seen, as a county, we should be bending over backwards to figure out how people, when they come in and they want to put another ADU, a structure on their property, we need to be paving the path and not sticking these hurdles in their way. And right now, that is, for a lot of people, when they go into the county, that is what it feels like. Builders and developers have kind of, you know, because they're used to it, but Joe Public walks in and it is a nightmare for him, and so, or her, or they. So to me, streamlining the process is super important, and then also restructuring the fees.
Thank you. Emily, same question?
So the first thing is, this is actually one of the issues that I hear people speak about the most when I'm canvassing. And I want to seek collaborative solutions with those who are impacted the most by these issues. So when it comes to, as Sarah's point on ADUs, I would potentially incentivize or advocate for incentivizing ADUs that are affordable or used for family purposes, as opposed to those that generate revenue. I know that the permitting process is lengthy and it's burdensome on our homeowners. One place that I think Thurston County has gotten this right is through the Habitat Conservation Plan, in which the permitting process, the burden of that process is taken off of the individual household, as the county has adopted permitting from the federal government. And I think that we could do more things like that for our community members as well.
Thank you. Next question begins with Sarah. The question is, what is your understanding of a commissioner's role in public health?
The commissioner's role, we're the legislative branch of the county. I mean, we're the next step down after the state. When it comes to, did you say the Board of?
What is a commissioner's role in public health?
Oh, I mean, ensuring safety in our communities, making sure that we have access to healthcare, making sure, and truthfully right now, the thing that's on my mind is making sure that money is appropriated properly, making sure that the taxpayer's dollar is spent with things that we're seeing, results from. Healthcare is, to me, is a right, and again, the county commissioner is under the state, right? So the state has a lot more regulation in it than the county commissioner does. But I do believe that healthcare is a right.
Thank you. Emily, to you, same question.
Thank you. Well, the Board of County Commissioners plays a huge role in public health, considering all of the commissioners serve on the Board of Health. I think that the county commissioners serve the purpose of facilitating responsible implementation of policies through departments like Public Health and Social Services. And they also are obligated to collaborate with relevant departments, such as the Department of Health at the state level. We also would be responsible for responding effectively and promptly to the opioid epidemic, as well as the multifaceted nature of all of the issues that need to be addressed, such as affordable housing and public safety as well.
Thank you. And Terry, same question to you.
Well, currently, homeless, drug addiction, and mental illness are challenges. Homelessness is challenges. 85% of the homeless in Thurston County have a drug addiction. Next 4% have a mental illness. We're not combating these. We're paying them off. We're giving them a handout. We're not giving them a hand up. They just spent, the current commissioners just spent over $20 million on homelessness and to feed the homeless. And I asked one of the county commissioners point blank, so how many homeless did we get off the street into a life that they deserve? And the answer is no. We're continuing to pay off a lot of these 501c3s with money to keep the homeless on the streets, not to take them off. For example, I put forward in the Veterans Legislative Coalition to go against RCW 73.08, and the challenge there is we have a source to combat homelessness for veterans. We
Thanks,
don't have
Terry.
that source for our homeless.
Thank you very much. Next question goes to Emily first. The question is, what are your views on tribal participation in county planning?
My views on tribal participation in county planning are that it's tremendously important. As I stated earlier in a previous response, I'm excited about the fact that moving from 3 to 5 county commissioners will allow us to create more robust and effective relationships with our tribal partners. I also believe that we need to get more tribal partners involved on our councils and committees so that we have voices of the folks with lived experience at the table when we're addressing policies that will apply to our tribal partners and community members.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, same question.
Could you repeat it, please?
Absolutely. What are your views on tribal participation in county planning?
Currently, I believe it was the Squaxin tribe wanted to help clean up Capitol Lake. Well, they're not getting funding from the state, which owns the lakes and owns everything. And I have a challenge with one of the commissioners always telling us how great and wonderful the land is. And my comment to that is so we screw it up. Where stormwater is a disaster, septic is a disaster, the lot plants are a disaster. Lot plants, for example, put 12 million gallons of contaminated fluent every day into Bud Inlet. We're in a clean environment and we need to keep it clean. I understand about climate change. That's history. We need to take care of our climate now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, same question?
Can you repeat it?
Yes. What are your views on tribal participation in county planning?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think that partnership in general is super important. And when you talk about somebody who deserves a seat at the table, culturally speaking, I think that Native Americans love this land in a way that we can't even comprehend. And so them having, as Emily stated earlier, voices on more of our commissions, more of our boards is important as we move forward in our plans, making sure that we honor, this creation that we all live in. And I think that answers that question.
Great, thank you. The next question goes to Terry. Terry, how do you think existing intergovernmental collaboration can be improved and new opportunities created?
Right now it's a wreck. We're not on the same course as all the other incorporated cities. Our planning, our permitting, all those processes to develop our county are not being equal across the board. We need a level. For example, we have a 3000 Pacific that unincorporated paid for. They paid over $12 million. They were allocated over $12 million for unincorporated funds to pay for that building, which is outside the county seat. That's wrong. Everybody else should be paying for it, not just the unincorporated people. That building costs probably about $7,000 a month, I believe, is the quote rate for rent. And we spent basically $8 million to fix up a building that we don't own.
Thank you. Thanks. The question now goes to Sarah. Would you like me to repeat the question? How do you think existing intergovernmental collaboration can be improved and new opportunities created?
Well, I mean, the cities, right, are a huge part of Thurston County. I mean, right, it is imperative that we are matching up with each other so we're not working against each other, which I've seen in a couple of the meetings where cities will have kind of a plan and Thurston County's plan doesn't match with that, and then it just takes so much time to move forward and get things done when you're fighting against each other. What was the second part of it?
And it's how can new opportunities for intergovernmental collaboration be created?
How can new? I mean, I think it seems like it's repeating the question, but you have to set the intention to create them and then create them. You have to want to work together. It cannot feel like this opposition. I think sometimes that we kind of see this like Olympia versus Lacey, or so-and-so versus so-and-so, and I think that it's important that we are working together, setting the intention and then doing it.
Thank you. And Emily, to you. I can repeat the question if you'd like.
Yes, please.
How do you think existing intergovernmental collaboration can be improved and new opportunities created?
Thank you. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the efforts on behalf of the Thurston Regional Planning Council, which is one of our primary intergovernmental bodies that works together on major planning efforts around the county. I think that these efforts could be improved through continued conversation and collaboration between governmental bodies. I think that there are a lot of times in which our interjurisdictional bodies are siloed off, and we therefore have work that's being repeated and duplicated between cities and counties, and we could eliminate that barrier by collaborating more openly and more honestly with transparency and accountability on behalf of all of our elected officials. I think that in terms of creating new opportunities, we could take examples like the City of Olympia's Social Justice and Equity Commission, which is going to be creating a collaborative framework for transparency and accountability for the Olympia Police Department, and I think that we could implement something like that at the county level as well and collaborate with them on the city level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question goes to Sarah. Since commissioners have the ultimate authority for land use planning in the county, could you talk about your experience in land use planning, including what your main priorities would be?
I can. Again, I mean, I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself, but land use is probably the thing I'm most passionate about. I have, off the top of my head, a handful of stories that I can share that the county made it almost impossible I have a friend of mine whose house burnt down, and it took 2 years for him to rebuild a house that was already there. 6 months of that was construction. 1.5 years of it was battling the county. And so I think that, again, like something like that is just a no-brainer, right? It's common sense. Somebody like that comes into the county, you figure out the way to build their house. And so I think streamlining the process, making sure that we're available, making sure that the commissioners are available to the planners so that when,
Time up. Emily, same question to you. I can repeat it if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Since commissioners have the ultimate authority for land use planning in the county, could you talk about your experience in land use planning, including what your main priorities would be?
Yes, so my experience in land use planning is very minimal. I have a human services background and nonprofit organization background. But in terms of what my priorities would be, I would prioritize responsible development within our urban growth areas to curb sprawl, enhance environmental sustainability, and promote affordable housing initiatives, especially protecting our natural resources and incentivizing affordable, energy-efficient housing within our urban growth areas with a focus on sustainability. This is a critical issue for our county commissioners because our population is growing rapidly. We are looking at an increase in population up to 383,000 by year 2045. And we know that estimates in this area have been undershot historically, so it will likely be even higher than that. So this is of utmost importance for the county commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry, the question goes to you. I can repeat it if you'd like.
Please repeat it.
Since commissioners have the ultimate authority for land use planning in the county, could you talk about your experience in land use planning, including what your main priorities would be?
That's a real simple question because the commissioners only have the authority on restrictions other than health restrictions for unincorporated Thurston County only. They have no means of that within the incorporated cities. An estimate to put a mobile home 5-acre property with a working well prepared by county staff shows the permits and gopher migration fees amount to approximately $12,000. Here is some of the fees: $1,600 in park impact fees, traffic impact fees of $2,800. For an 1,800 square foot manufactured house, just the placement alone is $600. And then you got on-site sewers applications, and you have OSS design review for $1,100. And then you have the habitat conservation plan migration of approximately $3,000.
Thank you. Next question begins with Emily. How should the county address climate change as part of its comprehensive plan under the Growth Management Act?
Okay. I think that the county should, can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How should the county address climate change as part of its comprehensive plan underneath the Growth Management Act?
Okay, thank you. I think that we should strive for net zero with clean and renewable energy in the grid and mandate energy efficient appliances for new development or renovations. I recently learned that according to the emission index, in 2021, most of the emissions came mainly from buildings and energy. And I think that we could address that by reducing fossil fuel emissions through clean energy sources. Oh, sorry, that's so distracting. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. We go to Terry. Same question. I can repeat it if you'd like. How should the county address climate change as part of its comprehensive plan under the Growth Management Act?
Well, I treat climate change as not the here and now. We need something done for the here and now. For example, Olympia has combined illicit sewer/stormwater systems that are not compatible with the outdated UV system that Lot has in the plant downtown. Again, they put over 12 million gallons of effluent in the in Bud Inlet, and what do they do with the leftover sludge, the waste? Well, they use it as fertilizers, so now we're putting chemicals back into our environment and into our food system. It's cheaper to throw it on the land and pump it out into Bud Inlet when the excessive rainwater and the combined sewer system meets into Bud Inlet, and they're putting raw sewage into Bud Inlet. That's why we have closures.
Thank you. And Sarah, the question goes to you. I can repeat if you'd like.
Believe it or not, I don't need you to.
All right.
So I think that when it comes to climate change, I think first of all, anybody who has read the comprehensive plan, or gone through it, it is definitely throughout the whole thing, which I think is a huge step. For a long time, the battle was getting people to admit that climate change was a thing, and now there absolutely is no denying that climate change is a thing. One of the things that I think is super important, however, is that we don't, people are not going to love this, but replace a meth addiction with a cocaine addiction. And this whole idea of getting off of gas to go to electricity, I think that we just have to be very, very careful in and follow the money. But just know that absolutely, because some people would think that that statement would mean that I don't believe in climate change, and I definitely am conscious and aware of climate change.
Thank you. Our next question goes first to Terry. If you were to be elected, what would be your first order of business and why?
My first order of business would be to move the county seat back within the county seat, to buy a building that the county owns. This push to have a free law and justice center for a bunch of lawyers is not on my agenda. I'm not a wealthy person, nor do I need wealth. I'm not in it for the amount of pay. I'm not in for it for the amount of work. I am in it for change. I want things changed. I want people to go by the RCWs and the laws that they write within, and we're not doing that right now at all. The problem with the whole building down at 3000 Pacific was a big quagmire. We're spending too much money for a building that we shouldn't have, and we're not utilizing the correct procedures to update that building for the people's purpose.
Thank you. Sarah, the question goes to you. If you were to be elected, what would be your first order of business and why?
So I think this is so awesome because now I get to finish with the question that I got stopped in the middle of, is making sure that I am available to our county planners, making sure that the things that they are running into, right, when somebody comes in and there's a hurdle, once they've identified that hurdle, making sure that they have not only access to me, but that they want to come and talk to me about those hurdles so we can work on streamlining that path. I feel like I have 25 seconds and I should say something else, but I am complete.
Great. Then to Emily, same question.
So if I'm elected, my first priority, first order of business would be to streamline the solutions to our affordable housing crisis that we are experiencing here in Thurston County. The first thing I would do, which I think would be relatively easy, is bring back something similar to the scattered site plan, which was initiated in 2021 and had an expiration date of 6 months after it was first brought into play. That plan actually provided support for 3 major homeless encampments here in Thurston County, 2 of which have since been swept. One of them is in pretty rough shape. I think that plan, it had overwhelming support from community members and workers near those camps, and something like that, bringing it back into play would be my first order of business, as well as bolstering the funding sources that we do have that go into affordable housing. Right now we have federal funds, we have our local home fund, and we have an affordable supportive housing state shared tax, and we also have document filing fees that go into these costs. But I think that we need to find more ways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question goes first to Sarah. How should the county commissioners work with law enforcement?
So this is one, again, that's near and dear to my heart. As a single woman, I really put a lot in trust in the fact that if I pick up the call, if there is somebody outside of my house, if I need somebody, that they will be there. And so I think it is really, really important that our law enforcement has what they need. One of the things right now is we're understaffed. I mean, for Thurston County, the unincorporated Thurston County deputies, when you look at the percentage-wise, we are short deputies. And so I think that should be a high priority, is getting some more staff.
Thank you. Emily, same question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. How should the county commissioners work with law enforcement?
So in terms of working with law enforcement, I don't really have traditional viewpoints on how this should happen. I think that we need to move beyond conventional law enforcement and into policies that really uplift restorative justice and diversion policies and efforts. So I would actually work to collaborate with the Sheriff's Department on establishing a community management board so that those with lived experience in the justice system can have their voices at the table when we're establishing policies and deciding where funds will be allocated within the Sheriff's Department. One example of this, which I think I touched on a little bit earlier, is the Olympia's Social Justice and Equity Commission, who they recently invited me to participate in applying for a collaborative effort to establish a framework for transparency and accountability for the Olympia Police Department. And I think that we could implement something like this at the county level as well and see great success with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, same
Could
question.
you repeat the question, please?
How should the county commissioners work with law enforcement?
Well, a couple months ago, the county prosecutor, John Tuheim, got up at the county meeting, which I'm at, and said that it was unconstitutional to arrest somebody for drug use or drug possession. Well, that has just been corrected by the Blair decision, which is House Bill 5536. They have a package for incarcerated victims that will put them back on the street. What we're doing is, right now, we're taking a homeless who would have a drug addiction, who gets caught, which goes home for me, was caught stealing, and it was a check-in and check-out process without any responsibility or any effort to help that homeless person. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah? I think I already asked that question of you. Is that correct? Law enforcement. I apologize.
No, I mean, I could do more if you
No, that's fine. My error, sorry. The next question then goes to Emily. And it is, how will your service as a county commissioner improve the lives of children in the community?
Well, I actually have a lot of background in this because I founded a nonprofit in Thurston County called Care Olympia, where we serve justice-involved youth and young adults. I'm really passionate about youth work, and I think that we need to really uphold the integrity of those organizations with individuals who have boots on ground who are already doing this work. I think that we need to put our trust into those organizations and individuals who have been doing this for a long time and trust that they know what's best. I would partner collaboratively with nonprofit organizations and other community-based organizations, as well as interjurisdictional government bodies, to ensure that this work is being carried out effectively. And I'm trying to think if there's one thing that I would prioritize is public health and social services, which I know carries out a lot of initiatives that support youth and families in Thurston County.
Thank you. Terry, question goes to you. I can repeat if you'd like. Please do. How will your service as a county commissioner improve the lives of children in the community?
First of all, I live in Tangawell. I live next to Lydia Hawk's school. I combat and help out children every time I see it. I see abandoned cars. I got rid of drug houses. I got rid of a halfway house that was on the children's park. Currently, I helped get rid of the Supreme Live-In out in Tenino. I'm trying to get rid of the Supreme Live-In on Martin Way. I don't think that violent sex offenders should be across the street from a children's dance studio within a mile from a park that has a children's pool, or within 2 miles of 2 children's schools. We need to get rid of the crime. We need to get rid of the drug addiction. We need to get rid of the unwanted people. And by getting rid of them, we need to put them on a healthy path back into life.
Thanks, Terry. Sarah, same question.
I believe the children are our future. I'm just kidding. Not only great sound lyrics, but also something that is very near and dear to my heart. As a foster mom, you guys have heard how passionate I am about land use, and children bypass that tenfold. Anything that were to come across the dais that has anything to do with children on the level of education, safety, access to healthcare, access to parks. I mean, it's one of the things that you know, the parks in Thurston County, I think that we've done very good. I think that, you know, the idea of like a community swimming pool, you know, so we can get these kids out and being active is super important, but definitely anything that were to cross the dais that has to do with children would get extra special attention.
Thank you. This question goes first to you, Terry. Do you think county employees are adequately compensated?
Currently, all the county union employees got in front of the commissioners, county commissioners at the Board of County Commissioners meeting over salary. They want a fair wage. They're not getting a fair wage. Going back to the police department, the Thurston County Sheriff's Department, who handles Thurston County and unincorporated and to include the prison. The problem we have there is they are the lowest paid law enforcement in the state of Washington. This is outrageous. People are there, these people are there to provide their time and effort, and they're not being paid for what they're worth. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, same question to you.
Yeah, I will tell you, I watched the meeting coming up, you know, that we have county workers right now that are working without a contract. It's kind of a big thing. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but right now and the negotiations are going on, and I could not fathom what some of these county employees are making. I have I mean, it is just barely over minimum wage. And you have these people that are working in the prosecutor's offices, you know, that are dealing with really emotional, big stuff. And they're having to work 2 jobs because they can't afford to live in this county. And I am afraid that we're going to end up losing great employees if we do not start honoring what they do financially.
Thank you. Emily, same question to you.
Thank you. I also watched the county commissioners meeting that Terry referenced, where the room was overflowing with union workers. And recently I learned that in a study by the Council of Community and Economic Research, it was found that the cost of living here in Thurston County is 13.8% higher than 265 surrounding urban areas that participated in the study. In terms of workers' rights, I'm a proud union member, and I strongly believe that we need to support union workers and county employees here in Thurston County. We can do this through strengthened collective bargaining rights, job security, paid parental leave, sick time, better working conditions, and the consideration of a 4-day work week without a loss of pay to improve work-life balance. I also believe that we could implement something like a secure scheduling law in which workers are aware of their schedules 2 weeks in advance, and they also have the right to rest, so no mandatory close opens. We can do all of these things to improve the quality of life for our workers in Thurston County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That needs to be our last question with the time constraints we're operating under. I just mentioned we have as many more questions here as we have asked so far. Thank you, Terry Ballard, Emily Clouse, and Sarah Morris for participating in this forum. We sincerely thank Thurston Community Media for all the work they have done to help make this forum happen. We encourage our viewers to be a voter in the primary election beginning July 14th through primary election day, August 1st, 2023. Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with our forum for the Mayor of Olympia and moderator Karen Valenzuela. Thank you.